what he did was, when he went out and he redesigned it, and not only that, he then spent $50,000 of his own money and built a mold. All right? And then he went around to other doctors and solicited their possible investment in his startup company. And he also had one patent attorney that he solicited too, and I went around with him to meetings where a number of people would come together. You have to comply with the securities and exchange laws and the state of California blue skies laws, and you have to prepare an offering memorandum, and I don't know all the details of that, but basically it has to tell, this is how Dr. Lopez characterized it, and he held it up, well, if you read this, you'll never invest in this company, you know. And the other thing he pointed out is, you know, instead of you folks investing in oil wells and businesses that you don't know anything about, and he pulled out the click lock. He had it made. He had already molded it. And he showed it to him. He says, you know, here's the problem it solves. And they invested $1 million in a startup company. And away he went. And sales took off. And why did they take off? Well, this was when the AIDS epidemic was just starting out. And what this particular product did was it protected healthcare workers against accidental needle sticks. So although no one was worried about accidental disconnects, there were a lot of nurses and other healthcare workers that were worried about needle sticks. And it costs a lot of money when there's a needle stick in the hospital because they have to go through a regular routine to test the nurse or whoever got stuck with the needle, and you know, and that costs usually about $1,000 per stick, roughly. All right. So the company was taking off. Sales were great. So as Napoleon, when he used to be evaluating generals, one of the things he would ask is, are they lucky? Dr. Lopez was lucky. And so was I by teaming up with him. All right? What happened to this company that looked like it was doing great? Sales were growing. It really was. Well, after Dr. Lopez raised a second round for $5 million. I didn't participate in that. He hired professional managers, and then he went sailing. Well, not quite. Racing. Now what he did is he read a book. He was always reading books. He was always reading books about business, all right? And like I say, he was studying entrepreneurship when I met him because he was just quitting practicing medicine because he had made some money on some other little projects, including real estate along the Pacific coast back in the late 70s. So he had done pretty good for himself, and he had actually started up another business prior to that. And he did fairly well with that, a small one. Well, see, one possible characteristic of an entrepreneur is they're very highly competitive. Well, he was a professional boxer, a karate champ. He holds a record for free diving. He plays tennis. In fact, he challenged me to a match recently. And he plays hockey. He's playing hockey. So here he is. He's really kind of a super jock. I call him, he's your typical alpha male. All right? That's what he is. All right? Oh yeah, spear fisherman. He doesn't fish. He jumps in the ocean and goes after the fish. We finally got him to have people to come along with him to watch his back so the sharks don't get him. Because he's a yachtsman too, all right? In fact, that's his problem. He went racing down in the Caribbean. Well, what did the professional managers do? Well, they changed the focus from the product that was doing so well, you know, the click lock, and they went to the HR needle, which was just starting up. The second thing is they did an exclusive distributorship with Baxter, and they made sure their pay and options favored themselves. okay? And they spent the $1 million and got a bridge loan. You know what a bridge loan is? Anyone got an idea what a bridge loan is? All right, well, a bridge loan, let's say you write a real good business plan, and you've got a pretty hot idea, and someone puts you in contact with a venture capitalist. No, there they are, venture capitalists, all right? You can tell, you can always see the dollar signs in their eyes, all right? Well, now the venture capitalists that ICU got involved with, I think they're the ones who put ICU in contact with Baxter. I wasn't too involved with the company at this time. I was a patent attorney working on the patent applications. And so at any rate, and this was right after the stock market crash in '87. And they put a fairly high valuation on ICU Medical. And they said, okay, we think we can go out and raise $10 million. And we'll sell $10 million worth of stock based on this evaluation. And, you know, while we're, you know, doing the operations and hiring 50 people and getting a real expensive place and buying this mahogany furniture and, you know, working out on agreements with the managers so that they could make a lot of money when this thing was sold off real quick. Well, when all that was going on, you needed money for operations. So the venture capitalists say, okay, we'll loan you $5 million. And when we sell the stock and bring in the 10 or 15 or 20, you can pay us back. Sounds good. The only problem was, and now we have this exclusive distributorship with Baxter. And right before the was supposed to close and the investors were supposed to put the money in. Now the investors are really other people within the venture group, all right, that they all know each other and they work with each other. We got a letter from Baxter saying, you know, we don't want to be your exclusive distributor anymore. In fact, we might be coming out with a competitive product. Whoa! Well, at that point, Dr. Lopez stopped sailing and came back to ICU Medical. And he asked me to join the board with him at that time. And it was two people from back east there were some of the investors that I had told them about that we were going to hopefully get a patent on this product, which we ultimately did, because a patent would be vital for this very, very reason. We might have Baxter as a competitor.